Welcome, welcome, sister. Wherever you are, walking, driving, lying in bed with a warm cup of something yummy, I invite you to breath in and let it out slowly. Thank you for joining me this week for Around the Kitchen Table. My name is Laura Ireland. I am the sacred CEO of my own life, and I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Today's episode is a tender one that's lived in my bones for a long time. We're exploring self-worth, what it means to truly value yourself, not just in your achievements, not just in your giving, but in the quiet moments, in the messy spaces, in the parts of you that are still healing. This is about taking up space and choosing yourself, even when it's hard. So welcome. It's lovely to see you all, or know that you're here somewhere in the background listening away. And if you are, I want to just take a moment to thank you for being here, because I don't take your time lightly. I value you so much in showing up and being here and listening to me or watching me and being in our community. Being a woman walking this earth, I value you. I have all of the gratitude and love to send your way. But I want to kind of question today how much you value yourself. What does it really look and feel like to really start to be honest with yourself? I'm going to quickly just stop this email from being in the background, because I'm not perfect. And I am owning and beginning to truly own what it is to stand in my own skin. Somebody questioned me this week. I'm working with an amazing mentor, and it's really helping me to connect more fully in with who am I? What is my title? I'm so used to saying, I'm a mum, I am the founder of Sacred Sister. I used to know who I was. I was a spa therapist for 30 years. I managed some of the top spas across the world. I massaged for a living. These were the things that I did, and I knew who I was in my 20s, in my 30s, even in my 40s. And then at 40, I had a hysterectomy. And I went into this kind of, funk where I naively thought, well, that's okay. I've done menopause now. I'm out the other side of that. That's all good. And actually, I was far from that. So I want to start with something really honest, with you. And I'm going to share so much of my own story in this podcast, which sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And I'm realizing again that that's because I'm hiding somehow. Even within Sacred Sister, and this is vulnerable to share, right? This beautiful space that I've created for women to come home to themselves. And I've felt like I wasn't allowed to fully take up space. And that's not because anyone else made me feel that way. That's because they are the wounds that I carry hidden behind, this mask that I've shared and lived behind forever. I created this circle, but sometimes I feel like I've stood outside of it. And I also have realized lately, especially through the deep work and this raw portal of menopause, that so much of it comes down to self-worth. Not the kind that you read about in books, not the fluffy kind. I'm talking about the sacred knowing that I am enough, even when I'm not giving, fixing, or pleasing. When we lose our self-worth, we lose ourselves. And, when we lose that, we lose in relationship too, in love, in motherhood, in friendship, even in sisterhood. So this was something that I really needed to shift in myself. I needed to really begin to connect. And I think there's this part of me that, 45 to where I am now at 49, just going to turn 50 in July. There's a part of me really stepping into unapologetically not giving a shit anymore about being who I am. I have spent my whole life masking. And I realize that now as part of, having a diagnosis of ADHD, that, I had to always, stand behind something else. I couldn't just truly just be who I am. Even in my family, I had to, you know, just be seen and not heard. Be the good girl, right? Go along, be a good girl. It's just bullshit. I'm sorry if you're a sensitive disposition to swearing. It might come out a lot today because this this subject is so passionate for me. Because actually, what's really important is that by owning who you are, perhaps like not kind of hiding away, those moments where I realize that actually I felt invisible because I have put the mask up and I have become invisible. Or when someone has treated me badly or not seen me or not known my worth, because actually I don't know my worth and I don't feel good enough. Let's talk about that little word, right? The little word enough, inverted commas, this little word enough. Can you tell me what that word means? What does it measure? What value does it have? And yet, we all measure ourselves up to whether we're good enough. Enough for what? It's just trash talk. That's where I've put it now. Trash talk. Me not feeling good enough is just me trashing myself somehow. And I just can't do it anymore. Yes, of course, I have days where I want to hide under a duvet in my trackies, but I can pull myself out of that really easily. Or I can just say, actually, that's what I need today. That's valuing myself. It's not, I don't have to change it in any way. I can just be that. So I want to kind of lean into this, what is the difference? What is the difference between self-worth, self-love, and self-care? And not the and again, there's a part of me I want to apologize. I'm like, oh, I don't want to upset the women that do show up in this women's work. I'm here to awaken that divine sacred feminine within you. Because I did a podcast the other week, and if you haven't seen it yet, go and check out Ring of Roses. It's a beautiful friend of mine. She's another interfaith minister, Reverend Grace, who married me and my husband dressed as a unicorn because she was allowed to be truly who she wanted to be. She stood there being her badass self because she could. That, for me, was an enlightening moment in my own journey to just truly be who you are. So I did this podcast. She asked me to jump on and talk about the divine feminine. And it's like, we sometimes hear these words talked about, the divine feminine, and it's like talked about even in a soft, floaty voice. And it's like, geez, man, like you're not going to find it outside of yourself. The divine feminine for me is not something that you are looking for or striving to be. You just are. You are divine, you are sacred, you are who you are. And that is when you really find that self-worth. For me, the self-worth is the belief that are inherently valuable in your own life. And self-love is the feeling then of cherishing yourself. So it's like self-worth and self-love are slightly different. Because for me, and I asked a client this question the other day, do you love yourself? Like, what does self-love mean for you? And she was like, I don't even know if I know what that means. And I was like, okay, do you value yourself? And she was like, oh, okay, I can grasp that one. And I was like, okay, so where on a scale of 1 to 10 in your household do you value yourself? If one was the bottom of the pile where you don't really connect in with yourself every day, where you have a priority list, but on it is everybody else. The to-do list starts with get the kids up for school, make sure the husband is sorted out, make sure the food shop is done, make sure the washing is done. All of those things that go to the work, all those things that are on your to-do list and you don't even feature in them. Like that is 1, right? Where do you feature? All the way up to 10. 10 being, I flipping know that I have to value myself fully and I have to put myself first on the list in order to make sure that everybody else is okay. That 10 is where we're striving for. 10 is the place where you don't feel guilty for creating space in your day for yourself. That is self-worth. For me, self-love then is that kind of feeling of cherishing myself. It's like, how do I talk about myself? How do I connect with my body? How do I connect with my mind and my soul? How do I listen deeply and cherish that part of myself that needs me to love it more? Because believe me, that is one I work on every day. I have a condition called lipedema. I am heavier than I look. If I get on the scales, I want to cry every morning because I have zero to little control over what my body does on a daily basis. I have always been bigger. I have always been this kind of like, heavier. And actually somebody one day said to me, you're not big, you're strong. And I was like, that's it. And someone else also said to me a long time ago, she was like, you know what? To do the work you do, like you're on this spiritual realm, you work angelically, you are up there kind of talking to the kind of ether, like you wouldn't be able to do that if there wasn't something that anchored you down. So I was like, great. So the size of my ass is what keeps me grounded. But it allowed me to see me differently. So self-worth is the belief, self-love is the feeling, self-care is the practice that supports you to get there. So self-love and self-worth are the goals. Self-care is the journey that allows you to really get there. It's the practice, and it takes practice. Self-care is so important. Most of us try to leap straight to self-love. We're like, I have to love myself, right? I have to love myself. It's really important. And it is. But the truth is, self-love without self-worth is shaky ground. And we can tick all the self-care boxes, drink the herbal teas, do the yoga, take the bath, and still feel empty if the foundation hasn't been restored. Self-worth for me is the root. It's the steady ground beneath all of it. And this is a great spot for you to consider, right, what it really means to you. So if it's safe for you to do so, I really encourage you right now to close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, not in a hippy dippy way that floats you off into space where you have to kind of and I don't know, wear a white floaty dress to fit into the spiritual world. You are a spiritual human being. That is who we are. We're a being walking this earth. We came in with this sacred, precious heart, and then the world took over and took it all out of us. So in this moment, I invite you to close your eyes. If it's safe to do so, put your hand on your heart and whisper this to yourself. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of space. And I am worthy of choosing me. I am worthy of love, of space, and of choosing me. Take a deep breath in and just feel how that lands in your body. Affirmations are what I call faking it till you make it, right? Like your body doesn't know, your mind doesn't know, you have no idea whether it's something that's being said to you right now. You're saying it to yourself, like your subconscious, your central nervous system, your space. When you begin to really lean in, that out breath is what we're looking for in life. So, what is it that leads us to not have self-worth in the first place, right? Like the shadow side of this. We always talk about the kind of, you should just go, you should have self-worth, you should have self-love, you should look after yourself, la, la, la. But why don't we in the first place? We don't because we're usually over-givers. We are people pleasing. We're not speaking our needs. We may not even know what our needs are. We're staying small to avoid any discomfort, and we're teaching others to treat us that way because that's how we treat ourselves. We think others are treating us badly somehow, but so often it's because we taught them how to do that. We model it with every yes that we don't mean, every time we apologize for taking up space, every moment we shrink to make others feel comfortable. Self-worth isn't a concept, it's a choice. It's a commitment, and it's a really beautifully radical act of remembering who you are and who you came here to be. That menopause transformation I was talking about was like the fire that really burned away what I couldn't tolerate in myself anymore. You know, I feel, I feel, do I feel sorry for him? No, I don't feel sorry for him. Um, I feel like I need to give gratitude to my husband because this is his second time of being. His first wife was 10 years older than him, so he went through menopause with her and he had no clue. And because she didn't really know what was going on for her either. You know, that's one of the things that we lose sight of when we don't value ourselves is how am I actually truly honestly feeling? And then he went through it with me and is in it with me, but I'm not so quiet. I'm like, what is this? And, you know, I now talk of menopause not just as this physical symptom. I'm going to use the word symptom because menopause has been made to feel like something we have to fix. It's a time in our life, and this is not to dismiss. I was on HRT for 9 years, so I'm not dismissing the need for, you know, taking the drugs, doing what's needed to support you through this time. If we were allowed to live a life where we were totally in our cycle of being allowed to be ourselves in that time, you know, I always say menopause has pause on the end for a reason. It's like this pause moment in your life, right? Like if you were able to, I also laugh and say it's also mental pause, right? So it's like your brain just disappears. But if you were allowed to live in the countryside, if that's your choice, there wasn't anyone around you to bother you. You were allowed to slow down. Your children were grown and off your hands. You were kind of given the opportunity to just take each and every day as it comes. You wake up in the morning and you just choose you. You choose you and you wake up and you move your body the way that it wants to move. Some days it might want to go for a 10K run, and other days it might just want to stay in bed. Some days it might want to stretch and do some yoga. Some days it might just want to breathe. If we were allowed to do that because our lifestyle allowed us to have the time and the space, menopause would be very different. I liken it now to a spiritual awakening because I went through the physical symptoms of menopause at 40. By 45, that physical symptoms were kind of done. That HRT was managing anything else. And the turkey neck and the, you know, all the other things that kind of come. But I take a breath here because I really want to land this message to you if I can. If you're a menopausal woman listening to this, it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you may be struggling with these symptoms, that you may be feeling like you're less than or not worthy or not enough, or that you don't feel like you are even able to manage your day-to-day life. It's not your fault. If we were allowed and given the opportunity where as women we had a village around us that supported us through this transition in life, we would be in a very, very different place. But for most of us, we had kids later in life. My daughter's 14, so she's like going through her stuff whilst I'm going through mine. We are career women. Most of us, some of us are having to bring in the same wage as our husband, if not more. Some of us don't have anyone else to bring in the wage, and we're doing it all. And so our cortisol levels, our stress hormones are through the roof. And then we hit menopause. And when we hit menopause, those symptoms are elevated. And those symptoms of menopause and the symptoms of cortisol overload, just check them out. Have a look at them. They mirror each other. So there's no shit confusion that when we run headlong into menopause, the shit hits the fan and it's all over the place. So yes, you need to manage your symptoms, but actually, if you can find the way to really 10x your self-worth and know that you have to become the most important person in your life for everything else to work, that's when things will truly shift. For me, it was absolutely that fire that burned away everything that I couldn't tolerate anymore. I can't swallow the words that want to be spoken. I can't be the bloody good girl anymore. I'm the woman who knows her worth, who speaks even when her voice shakes, and who loves herself enough to stop asking for permission to show up just to be my bloody self. This is who I am. I have big dreadlocks and I step into my power and I own who I am. And some days I play small because that's how I feel. I don't want to show up and be in the world because that's how I feel, and that's okay too. So I want to offer you these journal prompts. If you are not a journaler, right, because you feel like it's got to be prescribed in some way, just grab a book. Like, a bit of shameless marketing if you're watching this on YouTube, but we have the most beautiful journal that I created. And I created it for women like myself who were going through a journey and needed something to engage them into every day. And so the journal does engage you in because it gives you prompts and it gives you affirmations. And there's 13 amazing women's artwork in the journal. And it came about just before Christmas in such a beautiful way. That's a story for another day, of really living in flow. But whatever you do, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen and doodle. It doesn't have to look like anything other than this is the perfect way for you to get out everything that's moving you so that it's outside of your body, so that your nervous system can calm down, so that you can go from, fight and flight down to kind of this beautiful place where your nervous system can breathe again because it's outside of you. And most of the time, once it's outside of you, that's it. You don't have to do anything else with it. You might never go back to it. The journal that we created, you can rip the pages out if you want to, because actually, that's some of the times I just want to go burn the page. It's like it doesn't exist anymore. But I needed to get that emotion out. And here's the thing about your journal, right? It never talks back to you. It never wants to fix you. It doesn't have any advice to give you. You don't have to worry about it going to talk to your best bloody friend. So in our journal, there's a place where I encourage you to really become friends with your journal. Like, give your journal a name. Mine are always called Doris. I don't know why they're called Doris, but they are. They're always called Doris. And I can tell Doris anything. And I don't have to speak to Doris every day. I speak to her when I really feel like I need to, unless I'm working on something really specific. So here are the things to take to your journal this week. Grab a pen, pause for a minute so you can write them down. Where do I still abandon myself in order to be loved? That's a biggie. Where do I put myself aside because I've learned from childhood, from wherever, that in order to be loved, I have to be the good girl. So where do I still abandon myself in order to be loved? What would it look like to value myself above all else, no matter what? What would it look like to value myself above all else? Where have I been waiting for someone else to validate my worth? And how can I reclaim that power now? Most of us are just waiting for someone else to tell us we've been a good girl, or well done, or, you're good enough, like you've got this. But actually, that is your power within you. So where have you been waiting for someone else to validate your worth? And how can I reclaim that power now? And I love this one. What am I no longer available for? What am I no longer available for? Where is that boundary that says, actually, it's not okay for you to treat me this way, and I'm no longer available to make the dinner every single night? Maybe actually I need someone else to do it. And that might mean calling, I know you said Uber. I didn't mean Uber, did I? We don't live in a place where we get pizza deliveries. But, you know, like even if it means getting a takeaway once a week, because actually you don't have to think about it. Batch cooking so that you don't have to think about it, you know? But that's like a practical example. But what am I no longer available? I'm no longer available for down talking myself. So what are you no longer available? So take those reflections. I'm going to offer you this little meditation just to come to a close. And again, meditation might be something that you never think about, you know, this little moment where you stop to think about yourself. So again, if you're driving right now, this is not the time. Come back later and take a little moment. So if you can, and if it's available to you, I invite you to close your eyes. And if you've never meditated before, it's just breathing with your eyes closed, that's all. We're just going to go on a little journey. I want you to listen to my voice because I want to offer you something in this moment. So take a few breaths and just see where your breath is naturally landing in your body. Your breath being the clearest indicator of how you're truly feeling. Is your breath short and shallow, breathing very close to the top? Or are you able to take a deeper breath and really feel your belly expand, your chest rise? And an invitation, if it feels good to you, to take the biggest breath you've taken all day. Pause at the top and let it out with the slowest, most intentional sigh and out breath you can. In your mind's eye, I want you to imagine the version of you who knows her worth. Imagine that version of you. What does she look like, feel like? You know how you see women sometimes, or you feel the energy of a person who walks into the room and the whole room lights up around them? Imagine that version of you. She walks into a room and she doesn't shrink. She says what she means. She means what she says. She rests when she's tired. She creates space for others because she's made the space for herself. What does she look like in your mind's eye? And I invite you to take that image down to your heart space. It's not just a vision of who you are or who you would like to be. This vision is already a part of you. She already lives inside of you. And your heart, your love, is your connection back to her. So feel it in your heart space and allow any emotion to arise. These moments can feel quite exhilarating. They could be feel full of grief for all the times you weren't able to be yourself. There may be happiness, sadness, just to let those emotions rise. Feel all of them. Because again, we've been told our emotions aren't allowed, and we're scared of big emotions. But this is the moment. This is the moment for you to feel the big emotions of this woman who already lives inside of you, that version of you. She's already here. Let her rise, sister. Hold her in your heart. Love her every day. And moment by moment, piece by piece, you will become more and more of her, valuing yourself above everything else, because you are the most important thing in your own life. Taking a breath in and letting that vision really radiate out through your body. Maybe taking a moment to stretch into your fingers and your toes, and perhaps there's a yawn and maybe a little shimmy as you feel her in your body. Take her with you. She is you. You are her. I hope this episode of Around the Kitchen Table has really landed in the places that you needed it most. And if it stirred something within you, know that you are not alone. There's a space where these conversations continue, where women are remembering together, choosing themselves and finding their way home. I'm going to create something that's really bubbling up in me right now. I used to create things from a sense of urgency. Like I'd feel it and I'd be like, oh, it has to happen now. But actually, the work that I'm doing on myself right now has led me to know that the world isn't going to end tomorrow. And even if it does, and I haven't delivered this message, it will be okay. But I want you to join me. Keep an eye out on our website, sacred-sister.co.uk, for all the information that will be coming about our new campaign. This has been bubbling in me for a while. It's the I Am campaign, and I'm going to share more with you real soon. The full moon is rising. She is rising, coming to the surface. And by next full moon, the strawberry full moon in full bloom in June, I am going to deliver you a 3-day free workshop that's going to 10x your self-worth. So the only way you're going to know about that is to make sure you're subscribed here, wherever you're watching, that you go and sign up to our newsletter on our website. It will just pop up, a little pop-up, so you can add us to your inbox. Please know that I will never spam you with a whole load of stuff that's not relevant, because I'm not that organized. But this is relevant. How you value yourself is relevant. So make sure that you're connected to us, and if you're really feeling it, then come and join us in the Sacred Sister Sanctuary. It's open to you. No pressure, no performance, just presence. Thank you for sitting with me today. I see you and I honor you, and I want you to know that you are already enough. Lots of love from me. Laura, signing out right now. See you soon.